Hello and welcome to Mental Stamina Video 14 or fortnight. This is a British word which means bi-weekly or 14 days. So basically it also means back in the old days to build up your fort against the creatures of the night. So I like general knowledge, and I have for a long time watched the show Jeopardy. Da na 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 boom boom. So it's funny that I can do the Jeopardy think music off by heart, but that's what I believe mental acuity is all about. So this show is hosted by the one and only Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek is a native Canadian. He was born in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. And that is my university city. What I love about Alex Trebek is his dago mustache, his unrivaled wit and humor, and also hosting one of the longest running game shows of just random general knowledge that I think everybody should be accustomed to. This show was introduced to me by my residence university president. His name was Dhruv Nanda. So what I like to do is like give a brief shout outs to people that have given an impact on my life. So Dhruv Nanda was born in Dubai or the United Arab Emirates. He would often reflect to us about how amazing that country is because they have a palm tree island, indoor skiing slash sledding rink. They have the country itself is run like a corporation where each street has like its own commodity. Like one street would have all shoes, another street would have all electronics. I think that's a pretty good idea because you only got one street to go down to find everything you need for that particular genre. So what I liked about Dhruv is like he was responsible for organizing some infamous parties. What we always used to have in residence were corner parties. He lived in like the top like master suite, so he'd get like a double single, and basically he had like 2 bedrooms to himself. But he was a very friendly guy, and what always it was amazing about Dhruv is that he was always the life of the party and very charismatic for only being about I'd say 140 pounds. But his best friend Tom Barker, who weighed close to I would say about 250 pounds, they could both drink the same amount. So that it's quite amazing, like how blood intoxication. Alcohol intoxicate. What am I trying to say there? When you get drunk off alcohol, like how much it can affect you. Like if you've been drinking your entire life, you won't. It will take a lot more to get you drunk as opposed to somebody who's had their first beer. I think that's the point I was trying to get to. Anyways, what I also like to get across is that Dubai itself is also home to the Burj Khalifa, one of the largest towers in the world. It is because of Dhruv that I started watching Jeopardy, and I just find the randomness of that. He'd always gather a group of his friends every night, and we'd always compete over that. When I moved back home, I'd often compete with my father just as a random knowledge to say, hey, I've survived a brain tumor, but I'm still a pretty smart guy and I still know generally what I'm talking about. So that is just like the thing. Like I've already done a lot of stuff today, but like if you just prioritize stuff and have that self-belief, you can really do anything you really want to do. So moving back home after university and from the Cancer Lodge and having my a few like mental triggers already sent to me, it started to become very struggling. Like it was about 2010ish, and my parents started saying, "Well, you have a degree, you should be able to get any job in government, you should be able to get this, that, and the other." And it's just like, well, there's a lot more things nowadays. Like, we're not really in the education industry anymore. We're in the skills economy. As Dan Locke would say, like it really, like back in the day, like if you got like an education, you'd be paid like twice as much. Sure, that works for some industries, but nowadays, like it's all about the skills and what you offer and the value you offer to different employers and how you can talk to them. Like I follow a lot of self-made copywriters today, and it's just like, well, what value do you offer me? Like, why do I want to pay you? Like, what can you do for me? So, like the great thinkers of the world, like the Steve Jobs or Richard Branson, the Warren Buffett, like they're not generally like have like huge college degrees, but it's more like general knowledge where they educate themselves on the skill economy. So to get out of the struggle of living at home, I got a summer experience program position in the Ontario Public Service, which is the Ontario government. In that job, it was in the Ministry of Government Services. This position was located in Sudbury, and I got to live with my wild aunt, Shirley Long. She is quite a hoot, and I always love my Aunt Shirley. But anyways, in this job, I was responsible for grievance management, filing, record keeping, phone calls, and faxes. Basically, it's just an entry-level 7-week position to get your feet wet, or beak wet, as Kevin O'Leary would say on Shark Tank. So basically, in this job, I felt it went pretty well, and I even got an opportunity to go through for a corrections officer. In the corrections officer role, I was put through testing, and the unfortunate part is that I failed. Where I failed was because what we had to do was do a basic accounting test. In this accounting test, we had 18 questions that accumulated. Like the first question would be 1 plus 1. The second question would be 1 plus 1 plus 5 minus 3. And that would go on for 18 different questions. I took it for granted in thinking that, hey, I can just nail this out right away. Like, it's easy. But, like, when you take things for granted, you get sloppy. And unfortunately, I got 17 out of 18. And what happened was I had to get 100% because in corrections, you're responsible for 100% of the inmates. You can't let one escape. So that was one failed opportunity. But hey, I'm still going forward. Like every time you fail, like even if you fail a million times, you have to get up 1,000,001 times because that's what life's all about. Are you going to find meaning out of your suffering, or are you just going to stop? So next point I wanted to make while I reference. Oh yeah, so after getting back home and failing at this job, I was taught a valuable lesson. Yeah, not to overthink things, guys. It's like I've always had really great self-confidence. And but I don't want people to think that I'm arrogant in any way, because arrogance gets you nowhere, especially when you fail. Like you think you're all that in a bag of chips, but then you fall down and it's just like, well, you already said you're better than us, so like, what's going on there? And it's just like, I don't want to talk to somebody who's not humble and kind. Like currently, like over the past year, I've really learned the meaning of humble and kind, because when you fall down and you're not nice to people, they don't want to help you. So what I wanted to also get across to you guys is that it seems that often I go 2 steps forward and then I fall 1 step back, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I already went 2 steps forward. I don't want to go a step back. But if you never want to step back, you won't learn the lesson, and you won't learn to appreciate what you already got. Because when you're dealt challenges, the purpose of those is to learn from them. So I'm going to end this video 14 on a dream that I got when I got back home. And this dream really scared the living shit out of me. It involves the devil. And I know there is a great misconception that you believe the devil does not exist. Well, I've got news for you. That's the greatest trick he ever pulled, proving that he doesn't exist. Because it's all God's fault that everything bad happens, right? But that gets all into the whole battle of good and evil, and I won't dilute it on to anyone. And I haven't really shared this dream because a lot of people might think I'm crazy, but the dream went a little something like this. I was an angel flying over the desert, and I'd be like, hey, this is pretty boss, like just like flying around, like having like such a great time. But then all of a sudden, out of this like black like white vortex, I see this skinny bald man, and he's just like wearing a like, I don't even know what he was wearing, but he just had such contempt, anger, and hate for me just in his eyes, and it just emanated like right almost down into my soul. And I was just like, and he just stood there and he just stared at me with that anger, and that was enough to wake me up out of my dream and scare the living shit out of me. So I'm gonna tell you guys, like, that scared me for like a good amount of time. Like, when, like, who is it that the devil actually appears in your dreams? You're just like, what? It's just like, why? And it's just like, you gotta find a purpose and a meaning for everything. I'll be like, why did that occur? And it's just like, I'm still not like 100% sure, but I must be on the right track and I must be doing something right. And yeah, and it's just like, if you get a purpose out of everything, you'll find you live a much more successful life. So, and I'll just say also that oh yeah, and like what I was saying in regards to that is that I must have a good friend. I've got a good friend named Jesus, and I've got lots of faith. So I slowly but surely move forward every day. So that just about wraps up this video, guys. I think I got the point across as best as I can. So until video 15, Kaizen, baby.